Stellantis has just announced the collapse of 4 of its most iconic brands, and the shockwaves are reverberating throughout the entire car market. What was once an unshakable powerhouse is now crumbling before our eyes, threatening to redefine the car industry forever. 4 of its most iconic brands, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Chrysler, are teetering on the edge of extinction. Stellantis' empire is crumbling, and the effects are rippling far beyond its own doors. What went so wrong for such a giant? Why are these brands failing now? And most importantly, how will this impact you? Stick with us, because this story is about to unfold in ways you never imagined. What's happening? Stellantis has just made one of the most shocking announcements in automotive history: the collapse of 4 of its most recognizable brands, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Chrysler. These aren't just names, they are icons that have shaped how we think about cars, trucks, and SUVs for decades. But now, these brands are shadows of their former selves. Dodge, once synonymous with raw muscle and performance, is struggling to remain relevant. Jeep, a global symbol of adventure and ruggedness, is losing its edge in a market flooded with new challengers. Ram, a name that stood tall in the truck segment, is being squeezed out by competitors. And Chrysler, it's barely hanging on with a lineup that feels outdated and uninspired. This didn't happen overnight. The warning signs have been there for years: declining sales, shrinking market share, and a growing disconnect between Stellantis and its customers. But now, those signs have turned into glaring red flags that can no longer be ignored. The root problems. At the heart of this crisis is a series of missteps by Stellantis leadership. The company's downfall began with its failure to innovate. In an industry driven by cutting-edge technology and bold design, Stellantis has been offering vehicles that feel stuck in the past. Take the Dodge Challenger, for example. Once the epitome of American muscle, it now struggles to compete against modern electric and hybrid sports cars. Or consider the Jeep Wrangler, a vehicle that once dominated the off-road market but now faces stiff competition from brands offering more advanced features and better affordability. Compounding this issue is Stellantis' inventory crisis. After supply chain disruptions slowed production, the company ramped up manufacturing to replenish its inventory. On paper, this seemed like a smart move. In reality, it flooded the market with outdated models that no one wanted. Rows of unsold vehicles now sit on dealership lots, collecting dust and creating a financial nightmare for both the company and its dealers. And let's not forget Stellantis' pricing strategy. At a time when affordability is top of mind for most consumers, the company has raised prices on many of its models. This decision, combined with a lack of enticing incentives, has driven buyers into the arms of competitors offering better deals and more value. The industry-wide implications. Stellantis' struggles aren't happening in a vacuum. The company's decline has far-reaching implications for the automotive industry as a whole. For one, it's a cautionary tale for other automakers. Stellantis' failure to adapt to changing consumer demands and market conditions highlights the risks of complacency. In a world where innovation is king, even the most established brands can fall behind if they don't keep up. But the ripple effects go even further. Stellantis' decline creates opportunities for its competitors to swoop in and claim market share. Companies like Ford and GM are already capitalizing on Stellantis' weaknesses, offering vehicles that are more in tune with what today's buyers want. Then there's the potential impact on consumers. If Stellantis collapses, it could lead to fewer options in the market, higher prices, and a shift in the balance of power among automakers. This isn't just a Stellantis problem, it's an industry-wide reckoning that could affect everyone from car buyers to suppliers to employees. The dealer perspective. No one feels the brunt of Stellantis' failures more than its dealers. These are the people on the front lines, tasked with selling cars to increasingly skeptical customers. And right now, they're drowning. Imagine being a dealer with a lot full of unsold Dodge Challengers, Jeep Wranglers, and Ram pickups. Each vehicle represents not just a missed opportunity, but an actual financial burden. Dealers are responsible for maintaining their inventory, paying for storage, insurance, and maintenance on cars that aren't moving. And with no strong incentives to attract buyers, they're left in an almost impossible position. The Stellantis National Dealer Council has voiced its frustrations, directing sharp criticism at CEO Carlos Tavares. Tavares. In a strongly worded letter, the council accused Stellantis leadership of prioritizing short-term profits over long-term growth. Cuts to marketing budgets and changes to dealer compensation plans have left many dealerships feeling abandoned and unsupported. For dealers, this isn't just a business problem, it's a deeply personal one. Many have spent years building relationships with customers who now question the value of Stellantis' vehicles. The resentment within the dealer network is palpable, and it's growing by the day. Consumer alienation. At the core of Stellantis' unraveling is a painful truth. The company has alienated its most loyal customers. For decades, Dodge and Ram earned their reputations as bastions of raw power and performance. The deep rumble of the V8 engine was more than a sound, it was a promise. Dodge and Ram enthusiasts didn't just buy vehicles, they bought into a lifestyle of unapologetic strength and identity. But then Stellantis made a fateful decision. In its effort to modernize, it shifted away from its traditional engines, replacing the iconic V8 with a twin turbocharged inline-six engine known as the Hurricane. On paper, the Hurricane engine represents a step forward. It boasts better fuel efficiency, lower emissions, and advanced engineering. Stellantis claimed it delivered all the power of the V8 while being environmentally responsible. A win-win, theoretically. Reality, however, painted a different picture. Longtime fans were not impressed. The visceral roar of the V8, the unmistakable feel of unfiltered power underfoot, was gone. For many, the Hurricane engine felt clinical, efficient, and worst of all, uninspiring. It lacked the soul that had made Dodge and Ram vehicles iconic in the first place. This sense of betrayal extended beyond the sound of the engine. Loyal customers questioned whether Stellantis truly understood what their brand stood for. The connection they felt with their vehicles, something that transcended specs and statistics, was suddenly severed. Even with all the advancements touted by Stellantis, the Hurricane engine could not replicate the emotional bond that the V8 had forged over decades. Performance versus efficiency. The debate between performance and efficiency is not new, but Stellantis' approach has intensified the conversation. The Hurricane engine, while technically impressive, represents a shift in priorities that many customers are unwilling to accept. Let's break it down. Stellantis' decision to prioritize fuel efficiency over raw power was likely influenced by global trends toward environmental responsibility. Governments around the world are enforcing stricter emissions regulations, and automakers are under pressure to meet these standards. From a strategic perspective, Stellantis' move makes sense. The Hurricane engine allows the company to comply with these regulations while appealing to a broader audience that values sustainability. But there's a catch. Stellantis underestimated the importance of emotion in automotive purchases. Cars, especially those from Dodge and Ram, are not just about getting from one place to another. They are about the thrill of acceleration, the satisfaction of a deep exhaust note, and the pride of owning something that commands attention. Critics argue that no amount of technological advancement can replace the visceral experience of a traditional engine. The Hurricane may perform admirably in controlled tests, but on the road, it lacks the drama and excitement that have defined Dodge and Ram vehicles for generations. Buyers who were once drawn to these brands for their unapologetic performance are now looking elsewhere. Competitors like Ford Motor Company and General Motors are capitalizing on this opportunity. They are balancing efficiency and tradition, offering modern powertrains alongside classic options. Stellantis' all-or-nothing approach, by contrast, feels like a gamble that isn't paying off. Customers who want power without compromise are finding it in the vehicles of Stellantis' rivals, leaving the company struggling to keep up. Financial strain on dealers. For Stellantis dealers, the situation has gone from challenging to dire. The growing inventory crisis is creating financial burdens that many dealerships are ill-equipped to handle. Every unsold vehicle on a dealer's lot represents a cost. Storage fees, insurance premiums, maintenance expenses, all of which add up quickly. Imagine a dealership filled with rows of Dodge Challengers, Jeep Wranglers, and Ram pickups that no one is buying. Each vehicle becomes a symbol of lost potential, a reminder of a deal that never happened. And while Stellantis' leadership makes decisions from corporate offices, it is the dealers who are left to face customers, answer their questions, and justify the high prices and lack of incentives. The financial strain extends beyond the cost of inventory. Many dealerships rely on strong sales volumes to remain profitable, and every unsold car erodes their margins. Stellantis' decision to cut marketing budgets and restructure dealer compensation plans has only made matters worse. Without the resources to attract buyers, dealers are left feeling abandoned by the very company they represent. This tension is not just financial, it's deeply personal. Dealers have built relationships with their customers over years, sometimes decades, and now those relationships are being tested. When customers walk away because Stellantis' vehicles no longer meet their expectations, dealers feel the sting. They are the ones on the front lines, trying to explain why the cars they once believed in are no longer selling. The frustration within the dealer network is palpable. Many have voiced their concerns through the Stellantis National Dealer Council, but their pleas for support seem to fall on deaf ears. This growing disconnect between Stellantis leadership and its dealers is a ticking time bomb, one that threatens to further erode the company's ability to recover. Competitors capitalizing. As Stellantis struggles to find its footing, its competitors are thriving. Companies like Ford Motor Company, General Motors, and even emerging players in the electric vehicle space are capitalizing on Stellantis' missteps. They are offering what Stellantis cannot, a balance between tradition and innovation that resonates with today's buyers. Take Ford Motor Company, for example. The Ford F-150 Lightning is a masterclass in bridging the gap between the past and the future. It offers cutting-edge electric technology while retaining the rugged appeal that has made the Ford F-Series a household name. Ford's approach is simple but effective. Give customers options. By offering traditional engines alongside hybrids and electrics, Ford ensures that no segment of its audience feels left behind. General Motors is following a similar strategy. Its Chevrolet lineup includes both modern powertrains and classic models that cater to loyalists. The result, General Motors has managed to grow its market share while Stellantis' declines. Even electric vehicle newcomers like Rivian Automotive and Tesla Motors are seizing the moment. These companies are redefining what it means to drive an innovative vehicle, and their appeal extends to a younger, tech-savvy audience. Stellantis, by contrast, feels stuck in a transitional phase. Too modern for traditionalists, too traditional for innovators. This competitive imbalance is not just about market share, it's about perception. Every unsold vehicle on a Stellantis lot is a visual reminder of the company's struggles. Customers walking into dealerships see rows of untouched cars and trucks, and that impression sticks. In a market as competitive as automotive, perception matters, and right now, Stellantis is losing the battle for hearts and minds. The emotional disconnect. One of the most damaging aspects of Stellantis' crisis is the emotional disconnect between the company and its audience. Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Chrysler are not just brands. They are institutions that represent specific values and lifestyles. When Stellantis made the decision to shift away from traditional engines and raise prices, it sent a message to its loyal customers, a message that many interpreted as, "We don't understand you anymore." This disconnect goes beyond engines and pricing. It is about trust. For years, fans of Stellantis' brands relied on their vehicles for performance, reliability, and a sense of identity. That trust was built over decades, but it has been shaken in just a few short years. Customers now question whether Stellantis' leadership understands what made these brands successful in the first place. Rebuilding that trust will not be easy. It requires more than just innovative vehicles. It requires a renewed commitment to the people who have supported Stellantis through thick and thin. The company needs to find a way to bridge the gap between its desire to modernize and its obligation to honor its heritage. Until then, the emotional connection that once defined Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Chrysler will remain fractured. Failing incentive strategies. When it comes to moving vehicles off dealership lots, incentives can often be the deciding factor. Discounts, competitive financing options, and enticing promotions draw buyers in and seal the deal. Yet, at a time when Stellantis needs these tools the most, they are glaringly absent from the company's playbook. Other automakers understand the importance of incentives. Companies like Ford Motor Company and General Motors have ramped up their promotional efforts, offering zero-interest financing and cashback deals that make their vehicles hard to resist. For Stellantis, however, the story is quite different. The company's limited promotional strategies have left its dealers at a significant disadvantage, particularly in a market where buyers are becoming increasingly cautious about spending. For example, while Ford Motor Company lures buyers with attractive financing on its top-selling models, Stellantis has opted to stick to higher sticker prices with few perks. Dealers are left struggling to compete, especially when prospective buyers walk into a Stellantis dealership and compare the deals, or lack thereof, to those offered by competitors. This failure to provide strong incentives has created a perfect storm of frustration. Dealers feel unsupported, customers feel undervalued, and Stellantis' reputation continues to take a hit. In an industry where competition is fierce, standing still is not an option. Stellantis' reluctance to invest in incentives is not just a missed opportunity, it is a costly mistake that is driving buyers straight to its rivals. Rising prices amid declining sales. If the lack of incentives weren't bad enough, Stellantis has compounded its problems by raising the prices of its vehicles. While many automakers are working to keep their products affordable in an increasingly cost-sensitive market, Stellantis has taken the opposite approach. The result? A growing gap between what Stellantis offers and what buyers are willing to pay. In today's economy, affordability is more critical than ever. Rising interest rates, inflation, and economic uncertainty have made consumers more cautious with their spending. Buyers are scrutinizing every purchase, weighing not just the price, but also the value they receive in return. Stellantis' pricing strategy, however, seems out of touch with these realities. Consider Jeep, one of Stellantis' cornerstone brands. Popular models like the Wrangler Rubicon have seen significant price hikes, pushing them into a bracket that rivals luxury vehicles. For many buyers, the Wrangler's rugged appeal no longer justifies its cost, especially when competitors offer similar features at lower prices. Dodge has faced similar challenges. Its performance cars, once seen as attainable symbols of power and style, are now priced beyond the reach of the average buyer. This shift has alienated Dodge's core audience, leaving a vacuum that competitors like Ford and Chevrolet are eager to fill. The impact of Stellantis' pricing strategy is clear in its sales figures. As buyers turn to competitors for better value, Stellantis dealerships are left with an ever-growing inventory of unsold vehicles. For a company already grappling with financial and reputational challenges, this is a trend it can't afford to continue. The affordability problem. The issue of affordability goes beyond the sticker price. For many buyers, the total cost of ownership, including fuel efficiency, maintenance, and resale value, is just as important, if not more so. And in these areas, Stellantis is struggling to keep up. Take fuel efficiency, for instance. While Stellantis has made strides with its newer engines, many of its older models remain less efficient than those offered by competitors. In a market where rising fuel prices are a major concern, this puts Stellantis vehicles at a clear disadvantage. Buyers are looking for cars and trucks that offer long-term savings at the pump, and Stellantis' lineup often fails to deliver. Then there's the issue of maintenance. Stellantis has faced criticism for the reliability of some of its vehicles, with repair costs often higher than those of competing brands. For buyers who prioritize low maintenance costs, Stellantis' reputation for reliability, or lack thereof, can be a deal breaker. Finally, there's resale value. In a market where depreciation can significantly impact a vehicle's long-term value, Stellantis has fallen behind. Brands like Toyota Motor Corporation and Honda Motor Company are known for their ability to hold value over time, making them safer investments for buyers. Stellantis, by contrast, struggles to shake the perception that its vehicles lose value quickly. When you combine these factors, it's clear why Stellantis is losing ground in the affordability battle. Buyers are not just looking for a good deal, they are looking for a vehicle that provides value over its lifetime. Until Stellantis addresses these concerns, it will continue to face an uphill battle in attracting cost-conscious consumers. The inventory crisis. One of the most visible consequences of Stellantis' affordability issues is the growing inventory crisis. Across the country, dealerships are struggling to move vehicles, with some lots holding hundreds of unsold cars. It's a sight that speaks volumes about the challenges Stellantis is facing. For one, it highlights the disconnect between Stellantis and its audience. The vehicles sitting on dealership lots are not what customers want, whether due to outdated designs, high prices, or a lack of features. Stellantis has been slow to adapt to changing consumer demands, and the inventory crisis is the result. But the problem goes deeper than just unsold cars. The inventory crisis is also creating tension between Stellantis leadership and its dealer network. Many dealers feel they are being left to shoulder the burden of Stellantis' missteps, with little support or guidance from the company. This sense of abandonment is fueling resentment within the dealer community, further straining an already fragile relationship. The financial impact of the inventory crisis cannot be overstated. For every day that a car sits unsold, dealers incur costs for storage, insurance, and maintenance. These expenses add up quickly, putting even more pressure on dealerships that are already struggling to stay afloat. The inventory crisis is not just a logistical problem, it's a reputational one. Customers who visit dealerships and see rows of unsold vehicles are unlikely to be impressed. It sends a message that Stellantis is struggling, and in a market as competitive as automotive, perception matters. Competitors gaining momentum. While Stellantis grapples with its internal issues, its competitors are capitalizing on the opportunity to capture market share. Companies like Ford Motor Company, General Motors, and Toyota Motor Corporation have taken decisive actions to meet consumer demands, positioning themselves as leaders in a rapidly evolving industry. Ford Motor Company, for example, has doubled down on its strengths, offering vehicles that cater to both traditionalists and innovators. The Ford F-150 Lightning, an electric version of its best-selling truck, combines cutting-edge technology with the rugged appeal that has made the F-Series iconic. By offering options, Ford ensures that no segment of its audience feels overlooked. General Motors has adopted a similar strategy, balancing its commitment to sustainability with a recognition of its heritage. Chevrolet's lineup includes both modern powertrains and classic models, appealing to a wide range of buyers. This approach has allowed General Motors to grow its market share while Stellantis struggles. Even Toyota Motor Corporation, known for its reliability and efficiency, is stepping up its game. The company's focus on hybrid technology and long-term value has resonated with buyers, particularly those looking for vehicles that offer both performance and practicality. Stellantis, by contrast, feels stuck in a transitional phase. Its attempts to modernize have alienated loyalists, while its reluctance to fully embrace innovation has left it lagging behind competitors. This lack of direction is evident not just in its lineup, but also in its sales figures. As competitors continue to gain momentum, Stellantis faces an increasingly difficult road ahead. To remain competitive, it will need to rethink its strategy, rebuild trust with its audience, and deliver vehicles that meet the expectations of today's buyers. Anything less will only widen the gap between Stellantis and its rivals. Brand-specific struggles. The challenges faced by Stellantis' individual brands paint a stark picture of a company at a crossroads. Chrysler, once a symbol of luxury and innovation, now operates with a lineup so limited it is barely distinguishable in the crowded market. The Chrysler 300 sedan and Pacifica minivan, while holding niche appeal, cannot sustain an entire brand in an era dominated by sport utility vehicles and crossover utility vehicles. Ram, meanwhile, is grappling with a widening affordability gap. By discontinuing the entry-level Ram 1500 Classic, Stellantis has effectively priced out a significant portion of its loyal customer base. While newer models boast impressive technology and performance, their higher price points are alienating buyers who once saw Ram as an accessible workhorse. Jeep, synonymous with adventure and ruggedness, now struggles to justify its rising prices. Models like the Wrangler Rubicon are approaching the cost of luxury vehicles, forcing buyers to reconsider whether the Jeep name is worth the premium. And Dodge, caught in the transition to electrification, risks losing its identity as the champion of muscle cars. Fans of the Dodge Charger and Challenger feel disconnected as their beloved V8 engines give way to quieter, more efficient alternatives. A crisis of identity. At the heart of Stellantis' challenges lies a fundamental crisis of identity. The company's attempt to modernize has left it caught between two worlds, too forward-looking for its loyalists and too traditional for new audiences. Dodge and Ram in particular represent more than just products. They embody values like power, performance, and individuality. Stellantis' shift away from these core attributes has created an emotional rift with its audience. This disconnect extends beyond customers to dealers, who feel increasingly isolated from Stellantis leadership. The lack of support and resources has eroded the trust that once existed between the company and its sales network. For Stellantis to recover, it must reconnect with both groups, acknowledging the importance of heritage while charting a clear path forward. The long-term impact. The consequences of Stellantis' current trajectory could be far-reaching. If the company fails to address its challenges, it risks more than just losing market share. It risks irrelevance. Iconic brands like Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Chrysler could fade into history, leaving a void in the automotive landscape. This potential collapse would not only impact Stellantis, but also ripple through the industry, affecting suppliers, dealerships, and even consumers. With fewer options on the market, competition could dwindle, driving up prices and reducing innovation across the board. Is recovery possible? While the road ahead is steep, recovery is not out of reach. Stellantis must take bold action to rebuild its reputation and regain trust. This means investing in innovation that respects tradition, supporting its dealer network, and offering competitive pricing and incentives. Most importantly, Stellantis needs to reconnect with the people who have kept its brands alive for decades. Whether it can rise to the challenge or fade into obscurity remains an open question, one that will shape the future of the automotive industry. And that's the current state of Stellantis, an empire facing challenges on all fronts. What do you think about the future of Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Chrysler? Are they headed for a turnaround or deeper trouble? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.